How we doing, boys and girls? Good morning. Welcome. Just getting things set up. Let's turn the tunes down just a touch. There we go. Have I got Battle.net open? Where's it gone? Here it is. Alrighty, how we doing, boys and girls? We good? Oh, I'm big screen all of a sudden. I didn't realise I was big screen. We don't need to be big screen. Right, let's get some auctions listed first thing this morning. Subscription expired? Oh no, my auction house account has expired. Well, that's going to cost me 400,000 gold. Please tell me the tokens are not expensive this morning. 381,000 gold. Yeah, sure. All right, fine. Yeah, cool. No problems. We can deal with it. Is it going to log me out now? Yeah, there we go. Right. Don't post anything, don't sell anything. That's the rule, right? Okay, it's Tuesday, which means Team NA has reset today, or later on today. Team EU has obviously to wait till tomorrow, but we've got I've just realised it's Dragon Races again tomorrow. We get to put our zoomy, our Wipeout music on and go blast some Dragon Races tomorrow. I forgot that was a thing. Any idea why the US token's so high? It's close to the EU one now. I spotted this. I did spot this. It was within like 15,000 gold or something, somebody said. It's wild. The honest answer is I don't particularly know, but I do start to have the suspicion that we have misunderstood the token for a long time as one of the leading reasons why we always considered the token to be vastly cheaper for Team NA than it was for Team E was just general economic reasons, such as how do we phrase this? That the state of living situation over on Team NA, generally speaking, is better. There is half as much of a player base. We kind of know that. Team NA, obviously, it's, you think of it, it's, Team NA, Team EU. It's not exactly 50-50. There's nearly twice as many people that play over on the EU, just because of the geographical size of Team EU. There's, a potential 300-400 million people playing on Team NA, but substantially, literally billion plus over on Team EU. So the economic factors are a thing. More people are capable of playing with said credit card over on Team NA was always the theory. Maybe due to Chinese players. Well, this is a consideration. This is definitely a consideration that if the Chinese players are now playing on the NA servers, VPNing, doing whatever they do because they don't have their own servers anymore, that's definitely a possibility. But I'm also starting to think we may have just misunderstood how the token works. We are now... How long are we? Like 1 year? We're a little bit over a year into having the region-wide auction house. Now, I'm starting to suspect that the region-wide auction house has a lot more to do with the value of the token than we really suspected, because what we did always know for Team NA was that the vast majority of players played on a very, very, very small selection of realms. For example, Area 52 over on Team NA had like 4 times the population of nearly any other realm at one point. It was outrageous. It was ridiculous. It was beyond stupid. The cluster of people at the top was outrageous. And what that ultimately meant was that prices on that realm, it was like you were playing a different game. It wasn't just high pop, medium pop, low pop. It was literally like you were playing a different game. We always saw that material prices would tank so hard on those very select few NA realms. They would go down to like just basically nothing, presumably because they were over farmed and, dare I say it, predominantly botted into the floor. Yet the prices on other NA servers were nowhere near as dramatically tanked as that. Now they've smushed everything together. The effect of that massive population on those bigger servers is now flooding, it's all going in one pot. And I tend to think that Team NA has a far worse botting problem than EU does even right now. And the overall outcome of this is that having practically 2 auction houses, because they've smushed all of EU together and they've smushed all of NA together, has actually meant that those the values of everything, even when those two things are not connected, are normalizing a lot more. The EU price of token, while it has gone up, it's not gone up anywhere near as much as Team NA's has gone up. And yeah, I'm starting to think that we've just misunderstood how the token actually fluctuates in price as much. We've put way too much weight on the fact that, well, everybody's got money on Team NA and there were poor countries in Team EU that, rely on the token. But I don't think it's as much to do with that, unfortunately. I think it is, I'm more and more thinking that it is far more heavily weighted on just the sheer quantity of illicit activity going on. And the bot situation on Team NA was very, very heavily populated to just 1 or 2 servers previously. Whereas now it's flooding everything everywhere and causing a wild problem. I don't know how people are farming to make gold over on Team NA. It must be mental over there right now. I haven't done much research into it, but I can't really think too much more than that, really. So, yeah, the TLDRs, I don't particularly know, but it is wild that they're coming so close based upon the fact historically they've always been miles apart. But I guess we can welcome Team NA into what it feels like to have played World of Warcraft on Team EU forever. This is the best corner of Orgrimmar. I always stay here too. I've used this little corner in Orgrimmar for ages. I don't particularly know why. It's outside of the main hustle and bustle, but I've still got a vendor, a guild bank, an auction house. I've got everything within touching distance. Everything's actually closer here than it is in the main section, I think. So, without the hustle and bustle of 5 million people running about all the time.
Is that your wallet?
Works nicely.
Are you just glad to see
Works
me?
nicely.
Both, I hope.
Jabberwocky with the 3. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Welcome in and good morning to you. Started using this part when my old PC lagged. Yeah, that's it. If you are... A lot of the time people steer clear of Orgrimmar or Stormwind just because of the amount of people. It can make the overall zone slower. Is it down to an 11k difference now? Hang on, where's Wowhead? Uh, 381 for Team EU. 370 for NA. Oh my god. Sheesh. Well. Well. So why has NA gone up but not EU? That's it. Have we got... What's the website that for historical tracking of this? all of NA playing Starfield. No, I don't even think it's a population thing. I don't think it's so much a population thing. I think it's got more factors at play here. All playing hardcore classic. Well, they would still need. They would still need. They would still need their subscription. So, hardcore classic isn't free. The game's free. The game is free, but you still need the subscription to play it. Gold price over the last 7 days. Can we do... Oh my god, the ads on this website. Can we do more than 30 days? Oh, that website's cancerous. Oh, Lord, I do not want a stupid car. Okay, nothing seems to do any more than extended history. Hang on, here we go. I just want to see since the start of Dragonflight. What was NA tokens at the start of Dragonflight? Okay. $2022. Well, this theoretically tracks all the way back to 2015. Can I turn off some of these? Because whilst they matter, I don't think they really matter. So we've got... We've got the most dramatic increase in value, or the sharpest increase in token price, almost in history. In fact, no. This is the nearest to vertical we have ever seen a token increase in value. So what's this? February, January. Okay, so that's roughly it, right? We had a minimum of 227 over on EU with a minimum of 138. So there's a 100k difference here still. Yet this gap is now... It's only recently... When you look at it, it's only recent. I mean, it's only recently it started to tighten up. It's an interesting one. But the US token is just slowly going to the moon. Like I said, the NA token is still consistently rising, whereas the EU one is kind of plateaued off a lot. Why is the token value plateaued in EU? I guess we can only guess then, really. But it's, yeah, who knows? Graphs, is it Christmas? Not yet, not yet. Maybe reach that pain point for most people to buy it. Well, I mean, there's always that psychological barrier, I guess, whereas if, you know, you have to go over 400,000 gold. You look at it from the perspective of how long does it take you to get 400,000 gold. Today, it takes you probably 20 hours of pretty organized farming to gather 400,000 gold worth of stuff. And then obviously you've still got to sell it. So that's the other issue on top of that. maybe this is just a psychological barrier of like people just refuse to pay more than 400k, and so if the option presented to them is there, they just don't, and they're just like, well, fuck this, I'm out. Like, maybe that's it. And Team NA hasn't quite got there yet. Yep, that's me. Yeah, I mean, it is a ridiculous amount of gold. Ridiculous amount of gold for sure. But that's almost a linear growth, a linear rise in value, whereas EU is more sort of curved off. I mean, we started so much closer to the top anyway. Plus, Blizzard stiffed me for a 12-month sub, even though I had 8 months of game time, so I've no real reason to buy a token. Well, yeah, that's true. I wonder if that's the case. I wonder if they just do substantially better at selling the 6-month and the 12-month bundles in one region. I don't know. Maybe 400k is the amount where other websites sell their gold. Oh, that's a very interesting thought. Is it? Oh, yeah, that's a very interesting thought. I mean, I've not looked into the black market of gold selling, but maybe it's that, yeah, maybe if you can start to, well, you'd have to, for somebody to go black market to buy their gold, they would need to get a substantial, if they could get 400,000 gold, they'd have to get it at a substantial discount, I would imagine. Otherwise, why wouldn't you just buy it legitimately? I don't know. It's odd. It's odd, but yeah, Team NA is rising. I can't wait for the day where Team NA overtakes Team EU on token price. That will make me giggle. But the funny thing is I mean, it's close. 370 to 381. A bad day on NA and a good day on EU, and they're going to flip-flop for the first time literally ever. I wonder if there's a tracker site to see how much gold selling sites were selling before the token. I mean, that's such a long time ago now that it's borderline. So much has changed. There's too many variables involved. That data's going to be like Swiss cheese by this point. But it's interesting. It's interesting. I mean, there's obviously lots of options at play here. You know, has Team NA just borderline abandoned the game? Is there substantially less players on Team NA whilst Team EU are still plodding along? Who knows? But I do suspect that the region-wide auction house has something to do with it. In terms of the fact that whereas there used to be huge disparity between the values of items, and now there's basically 2 auction houses instead of hundreds of them. I do think that having just those 2 auction houses might slowly be normalizing the prices, even though they're not actually connected. Or heck, who knows? It could just be on Team NA. Bots are running so rampant that they're just generating just massive inflation. It came to light a while ago, and a few people jumped on it. That location where you abuse Chromie time to scale things and just print literally hundreds of thousands of gold a day. If that's still running rampant over on Team NA, then maybe just inflation is out of control. If Blizzard don't plug it up quick, it could just keep going. There was also I wonder if I can find it. They post frequently or semi-frequently for transparency. They post how many accounts have been banned. Do we know if that breaks it down in any way, or do they just say, "Oi, this is the amount that we've banned"? Let me see if I can find it. Blizzard account closures data. No, I need somebody smarter than me with Google to find this. It's probably on the WoW account bans. I flipping reacted to it like a month or two ago. Although I'm not quite Asmongold when it comes to reacts, and so everything I say isn't documented. Oh, it's probably on the forums or something, but I'm not digging through the forums to try and find it. Yeah, they often state just how many accounts they've closed in a certain period of time. And I was actually massively surprised with just how many account closures they do. Which, when you think it was something like 140,000 accounts they'd closed in like one calendar month. If you're closing 140,000 accounts in a month, just think about how much revenue that is in the first place. If only a fraction of those accounts were bots who decide to just make new accounts again, like that is an ungodly amount. Compared to theoretically how many real players we expect there to be playing the game, that is a really big percentage. Let's not forget, at the height of heights, there was 12 million people playing World of Warcraft back in Wrath. Nowadays, I would be surprised if there's 2. If there's only 2 million people playing the game and they close 140,000 accounts in 1 month, what percentage of the player base is actually bots at this point? It's got to be double figures. Which is mental. And then when you realize if bots contribute such a high overall percentage of the entire player base, how can you expect Blizzard to be proactive about stopping them when it's such a sizable percentage of their actual revenue? It's quite scary. You think it's only 2 mil? I can't imagine it's much more than that, to be honest.
Maybe eternal sunshine.
I really don't think there's that many people that play WoW currently. Just look at how poorly a lot of the marketing material does. Now, YouTube views aren't everything, right? YouTube views clearly are not everything.
Well,
But YouTube video, like if you take, let me do a quick comparison between a game, e.g. World of Warcraft, where we have, let's have a look, Fury of the Incarnate's launch trailer, 83,000 views. 83,000 views. You look at this, Fury of Incarnate launch trailer, 83,000 views. Let's even go back a little bit and find like 10.1 launch trailer. Everything coming in 10.1.5. Everything coming in patch 10.1. Signs of Kalani boosted video. 116,000 views. Embers of Neltharion launch trailer. 334,000 views. So you take those numbers, right? And then you compare them against something dumb. Let me see out of curiosity. Comparing it to a random dumb little mobile game that many of you will be aware of called Clash of Clans. You compare World of Warcraft major content patch, 334,000 views 5 months ago. Major content patch, right? You then look at Clash of Clans. A Halloween tribute mini thing, 2 million views. Clash is raiding chess, Clash of Clans animation, 6 million views. Chess season, 3.4 million views. This is a little mobile game, right? This is a tiny little mobile game. Admittedly, sure, mobile game that's predominantly free to play, but is targeted more towards, kids, sure. Goblin Queen season challenges, 2.6 million views. Builder Base 2.0 is here. Clash of Clans official, 6 million views. Some, just a basic little mobile game is absolutely trouncing, absolutely dumpstering. Not sure that's a fair comparison, since WoW has a good and well-established third-party coverage. Nobody uses the official channels. I'm quite sure Clash of Clans has remarkably good third-party coverage as well, though. Well, let's pick something else then. Fortnite. It's not even spelled like that, is it? I suppose Fortnite is still remarkably unfair, but my point here, more than anything else, is that there just really isn't that same level of pull from World of Warcraft anymore. Regardless of whether you have a good third party coverage of this sort of stuff, your main channel, your posters should still perform well if the game is performing well. But yeah, it's like I said, YouTube numbers don't mean everything, but it just goes to highlight that World of Warcraft is not the market leading game in any way, shape or form anymore. And when they can turn around and say that they're banning 150,000 accounts in a month, you're like, that has to be a sizable percentage of your entire player base is bots at that point. I just think it's worrying for it's worrying for the strength of the game. It's worrying for the integrity of the game. World of Warcraft has been in a fantastic position over the years. It's been one of the only companies that have been able to fight against rampant bots and massive sort of inflation problems. It's done remarkably well with it in the past, but it seems to be struggling with it again now. And like I said, I'm no economist, but it doesn't look good. It certainly doesn't look good. But if you're still having fun playing it, none of that matters. Absolutely none of that matters if you're still having fun playing with it. It's just obviously if you are spending a lot of time playing the game, you would like to continue playing the game a lot. You kind of want to know that the company developing it still has the heart, the desire, and the drive to keep it in good standing. Can you get unique traffic stats for Wowhead? I doubt it. They're a private company, aren't they? I can't imagine it's going to be too easy to get that sort of stuff. I'm sure there were some ways and means of getting some traffic stats for Wowhead, but I don't know. Nor would I know really how to analyze web traffic data. You forget just how many people probably sit with a Wowhead tab in their Google Chrome open, like nearly just all the time. But does that count as like, how does that get tracked? I don't know. I'm not savvy enough with that sort of stuff to know what to do with the data even. Are some things starting to rise though? Are people starting to sort of put 2 and 2 together and start thinking about things for the next patch? Draconium ore is so in the bin, it's funny. But in fact, even saying that, Draconium ore is rising in value. Glow spores are down to 10 gold each, and they're actually dropping in value. Still. What else we got that people might care for? The Awakened. Awakened Fire is up 12%. Frost is up 8%. Awakened Air is within, slightly up, but within small amount. Awakened Earth is up 50%. People have gone deep on Awakened Earth. Blizz is not a private company. No, I definitely meant Wowhead. I might have said Blizz. It's early. No, I'm very aware that Blizzard is not a private company. Awakened Order is sort of staying relatively strong. Seems to be Awakened Earth where people have put their money. People have put their money in Awakened Earth. That's risen quite substantially in price. Resonant Crystals are much of a muchness again. Dracothis are down to 3k a piece right now. 3,030 gold with a advertised crafting cost of 3,050 gold. So yeah, your resourcefulness and it looks like even today your resourcefulness and your multi-craft is what makes you your profit. Enough characters, enough crafts, that'll add up. Just joined. Why are people speculating? Did they announce a 10-2 date? People don't even need a 10-2 date. From day one of getting a PTR, people started squirreling stuff away. It's coming in a month, no need for the announcement. Well, yeah, exactly. We know it's going to drop probably second week of November. They're going to, BlizzCon, 10-2. It's pretty straightforward. What on next week's dailies? Are there any way to tell? There's not. No, you can always wait until Team NA wakes up and gets their server reset, because whatever it is for Team NA, it's the same for Team EU, but I think that game is kind of done now. Alchemical Flavor Pockets are still 50k. I do wonder if where's my 480 carat? There he is. Are people still farming the feasts on multiple characters to get a bunch of these? Because if these have been pretty steady at 50k for a long time. Long time. And then they spike slightly at the beginning of a patch as people re-gear or change characters. But they never seem to drop below 50k. Or not by much anyway. 45k is about as low as it's got in previous patches. I would imagine then with enough ults, it's still a pretty viable thing to just quickly bang out the feast a handful of times. I am never getting this recipe, am I? It's never going to happen. Not today. Not today. Anyway, I'm not going to be doing any speculation this time round. I will do what I did in patch 10.1, but without the controversy of Dracothists. I will quite simply be one of the first in the EU to buy the new recipes, and I will craft the new recipes, and I will sell a lot of the new recipes very quickly to the early birds, and that's how I'll make my gold, and then I'll chill. Made millions with the flavor pockets, could get 25 to 30 in a week. Yeah, I was going to say, if you've got a big enough alt army, I bet you can absolutely destroy that. Alright, cool. Well, not too much to play with here. Let's log on the main account and see what's what. There's a new promotion coming out today. Blizzard does this thing every week where they, at the beginning of the week, they tell you what they're going to tell you. There's an announcement of an announcement is basically what they do every week now. And it's always funny because... Hang on, is this the one? This week in WoW, October the 2nd. So we have Burning Crusade Time Walking coming tomorrow, or with Reset. Or there's also new promotion. New promotion coming today. How much money do you want to bet that this is yet another Traders Tender bundle? It's got to be, right? It's got to be. And a new in-game event available. Well, they kind of spoil what it is by then saying the next day there's going to be an Eastern Kingdoms Cup. So, Magic Rooster Twitch drop, mark my words. Hey, I'd be happy if that was the case. I want my Magic Rooster, and I'm happy to stream it. Make it a 2 gifted sub promo, and I'll be happy as pig in doo-doo. They're not going to give people a Magic Rooster for $10 though, are they? Let's be real. That's not happening. Be funny if it did though. Disconnected. What's going on here? Let me in. Yeah, Traders Tender bundle for sure. It's one of those, right, isn't it, with a trading post? Blizzard once again have been able to like sneaky it in without too much backlash, and this is how these companies have figured out how to do this. You know, they figured out how to do this. They're not stupid now. They give you it for free for a while, let you get used to it, let you get acclimatized to it, and then you and then they slap in a little bit of monetization, but they don't make it too gross. It was only $5. Can't shout us. It's only $5. And then it starts to rise in price. I don't think they'll put in a new one before the previous one expires. Oh, I don't know. This month's an expensive month in the trading post. What time is it? It is 11:43. There's no timed events, actually, for a little while. No timed events at all. I need to get my Nax run done. I don't think I've even done my Nax run this week, which is silly. Silly. We should get the Nax run done. Let's go Dalaran. Let's put Pinky and Stinky to the test. It's not going to be much of a test, is it, running an old dungeon, but... Alright, get Nax run out the way. Take me to Strathhome. I don't even know if this is the fastest way to get there anymore, but it works. If it works, it works. That one. Where's the portal? Here she be. Alright, let's go Gadget to see how fast we can get this done. Do we do all bosses? We should probably do all bosses, right? We should probably clear it. Do we loot? I'm just thinking, should we loot? Maybe we should loot. First Scourge Stone. 1 of 15. Where's my Scourge Stones gone? Hello? Oh, we've still got some in our bags from last week. We didn't turn those in. Oh, actually, I should probably not kill things unless I need to. I'll lose my Trailblazer buff. I do think generally, though, Blizzard have been much slower to react to what seems very obvious in terms of cosmetics. Like, for how long now has it been that... Okay, the Warcraft team, should I say, has been slow on this. They were both pretty early adopters, but also pretty slow on it, I think. For example, that transmog in World of Warcraft was one of the best transmogs, and still arguably is one of the best transmog systems in a game. And they had that implemented a long while ago. But they're only now trying to capitalize on it with things like the trading post, and they are clearly switching their focus quite heavily to cosmetic stuff. And they're starting to put 2 and 2 together that, you know, there's a core of players that do care about how their character looks. And more than just care about it, will be willing to pay to seek some unique appearance. And I always find it kind of amusing that actually, if you sell something like an appearance, it almost instantly stops being like unique, because anybody can buy it. I've never understood that. That, like, how does it work? Like, I don't. This obviously comes from somebody that doesn't particularly care about the appearance of my characters. I don't really deal with transmog all that much at all. But, like, why do microtransactions for cosmetics work? Just psychologically, why do they work? If you are seeking to look cool and different from everybody else, why then is seemingly the lowest barrier to entry option for an appearance the one that people stride towards? Surely something cool and unique from a dungeon, or is it an effort thing? But then when everybody strolls around wearing, you know, this is why store mounts are like, they're some of the best looking mounts, but they're the most memed on mounts at the very same time. Because they're cool, but you can't be unique with them because everybody's got them. I don't know. FOMO is probably a good answer to that, I guess. The fear of then wanting it and not having it at a later date means that you are inclined to purchase it whether you really want it or not. FOMO is strong. FOMO is definitely strong. Guild Wars 2's transmog system is so much better. It's like comparing my wealth to Elon Musk's. Oh, really? I mean, they yoinked dragon riding from Guild Wars 2, didn't they? Pretty much. Why is that slime immune to everything? Son of a... And now, oh no. My poor pets don't know how to get to him. Leave him alone. Yeah, maybe it's just, it's the capitalizing on players that don't know better. I don't know. Any tips for goal making season 3? What to invest in? I'm never a big fan of investing in terms of buying a material, like hoping that it will go up in value, because that more often than not bites you in the ass. But if you've got professions that utilize certain materials, there's no denying that the value of those materials right now is almost rock bottom. There is strong likelihood that you will see some improvement in the value of those materials, and in turn the items that then need them. But even that's not so much of a thing anymore. 10.2 is looking very similar to 10.1 in terms of it's more about he who gets the patterns first wins. I made a huge amount of gold very quickly in the first few days with the weapon enchants at 10.1, as I was the first person in the EU to have the recipe and be crafting them and selling them. So for a couple of hours and then a couple of days, I was able to pretty comfortably make a sizable amount of gold on those because I got the recipe quickly and at a good price. Otherwise, goal making is, you know, it's much of the same, really. It's heavily being pushed more into an effort-based system. The more effort you put in, the more you'll get out, and it's predominantly busy work for a lot of people. Consistency and farming. It's why I'm not enjoying crafting. It's why I'm not enjoying gold making anywhere near as much in Dragonflight, because there isn't something juicy to get my teeth into with crafting. Grinding out the knowledge points was a thing that was felt needed to be done, but I always knew that once you'd got a certain amount of knowledge points under your belt, you weren't really gaining anything more by getting more of them. And I was literally just collecting them just so that my professions were maxed, even though the reality was is it didn't really generate me much benefit. Yeah, without that big meaty thing to get my teeth into, it's felt underwhelming, this expansion. Which is a shame, because it started off looking very promising. Why? What's going on? Why are you not? Oh, there we go. Biggest difference in Guild Wars 2 is it lets you dye up to 4 colour channels in every piece of armour. Oh, I see. They've got a dye system in place. Yeah, that's always... That always provides a lot of customization. Gold making is pushed by Blizzard to bots that sells you the gold in G2G. I don't know what G2G... A game to game? Are you referring to like people selling gold in hardcore and in classic and whatever? I don't know. I'm not sure what you mean. Check the Lariat recipe on the Undermine Exchange. Somebody put a recipe for $750 on Dunmorar if you want it at that price. No clue if somebody already took it or not. No, I mean, I've offered a few people 500k for it. I'll get it at some point. Also, now that I've said that on stream, it'll be gone in 2 minutes. So it won't be there in 5 minutes' time, even if it was previously. G2G is the most popular WoW gold selling buying site. Oh, okay. I have no idea about the black market side of the gold making. I've had interest in it just purely from the perspective of that, you know, knowledge is sometimes helpful, but at the same time, I don't particularly want those cookies even on my computer, if I'm brutally honest. It's already bad enough as somebody that has a lot of gold in game. You always catch, you know, catch shade off others. Oh, why are you farming all this gold? You're just selling it. You're a bot. And then 2 minutes later, can I have some? So yeah, I don't even pay much attention to the unclean side of the market. Somebody on the WoW Economy subreddit said they found the Elemental Lariat recipe in their bags the other day. It's like, oh dear lord. I can't get it for trying, and then there's people out there that just accidentally have one. It's like, boo. Sometimes you can't win. I don't mind though. I don't mind. There's plenty of other recipes I still need for all of the other professions. That will sit at the that'll sit on the list of expensive ones to buy once there's nothing to farm for. Let me nuke a few of... a bit of this trash real quickly. Where's me? There it is. Get rid of some of that rubbish quickly. Soulbound. Bind unequipped leather. We need the appearance from that. Okay, back in. Last wing, and then the upstairsy bit. Last wing, and then the upstairsy bit. This is the slow bit now. Okay. I'll get some of these lariat pieces at some point. It's my mission. Had any success with the white or grey transmog vendor items? I put so little effort into transmog in any way, shape or form, whether it be farming it, collecting it, or selling it, to be honest. I mean, if you are trying to pad the auction house with stuff that you can post at an artificially high price, if you do it, it's the spaghetti at the wall situation. If you do it enough, you'll probably sell a few bits and pieces. It's like most things in this game. But the ramp up, I think, is probably pretty bad. In terms of, running around collecting all of the vendor appearances. I also would be questioning just how expensive it would end up being posting all of that sort of stuff, because they're vendor items. You tend to buy them for a relatively high vendor price, meaning that they probably have a relatively high vendor sell price. It's one of those white and grey items. Sure, if you want to add it to the list of like transmog you farm and try and sell, you might see some success with it. But it's another piece of the pie, right? It's another one of those things to do. The more little markets you try and play in, the greater the chance there is of you seeing some results with it. But it's not one I personally play with. Right, come on, Mr. Harvester fella. Let's get this over as quick as possible, please. I might start my little world dungeon crawl though later on today. I want to basically what I want to do is just have a simple little database / spreadsheet of information about the dungeons, but with more of a goblin perspective on it, because I don't think there is really much of that available. So how many kills can you get in the dungeon? Because often when it comes down to farming for rare appearances, a lot of them are world drop. A lot of the patterns are considered world drop, and dungeons do count. Mobs in dungeons do have access to the world drop loot tables. So you can, if you are just able to kill a mass amount of stuff very fast, once again, another, spaghetti on the wall situation. If you kill enough things, you'll eventually get enough world drop items, which dungeons end up being sort of like good ratio of time spent in there to mobs killed. Rather than, oh, this is a rare item that is on the loot table of one of the mobs in that dungeon. That would be a useful thing to be able to see. So if you're just trying to do, nothing more than just kill an awful lot of mobs, play the numbers game. What's your IACM percentage? I have no idea what IACM means. Or do you farm Hunter exclusively? I'm not really. I'm going to. Oh, insane account mode on all the things? Oh, yeah, that's not me. That's not me. I tend to collect very specific things. I'll collect pets, mounts, and toys and stuff like that from time to time. but my main focus is on like profession recipes and stuff. I've mostly focused my collection from a more of a goal making perspective, so I'm not necessarily always trying to collect everything within, you know, everything that appeals to me. So yeah, most of the time if I'm hunting down, I'm often hunting down like a recipe for something, and anything that I get at the same time is just a nice byproduct. Are you going to come play? Apparently you don't want to come play. Wish there was a way to make these ones quicker. Yeah, a lot of people skip Gothic the Harvester and then in turn skip Four Horsemen that comes after it just because this timed event is just gross. This is the reason I often will completely skip these sections, because it almost doubles the length of your next run for like three extra Scourge Stones. Oh, what do we get? Corrupt. What do we get? Heinous Male Chest Guard. Well, a win's a win. They've done it before with things like Razagor. Well, yeah. I mean, they could, but I don't think it's very high on Blizzard's list of to-dos. Right, let's remember to not kill these all in one go, because otherwise they don't drop me the goodies. Or they don't die, more importantly. Right, there's another wing. Now 2 to go. 2 to go. As long as you engage them first, it'll work. Trank shot into barrage works fine. Oh, okay. Oh, that's handy to know. I've always tried to just dive in there and they fall over nice and quick, but then they reset, which was annoying. Ah, RP just to get in the place. Let me in. It does seem, and one of the reasons I've not run Nax anywhere near as much as I thought I might this patch is because it seems, or it feels, should I say, so poor use of my time when I know that running this as like a 5-man team is quite literally 5 times as efficient. It's painful. Really painful. Oh, I forgot we had this Mastery of Time Ways buff as well. Oh well, I've completely wasted this, but do it with 5 then. Yeah, it means I've got to reactivate 4 accounts and I've got to level up other characters and stuff. And the truth be told is it's too much like hard work. Too much like hard work for something that's feels like a bit of a flash in the pan opportunity. Although, that said, Tier 3 lamented pieces, whilst they are... Well, they seem to have almost plateaued in price as well, those things. They seem to have stopped at around 100 to 150k. Much cheaper than that, people can't be bothered to go out and get them. But it means for the people that do, there's still some pennies to be had.
Well met.
What are we selling? Random stuff, I imagine. Yeah, just random bits and bobs. Yeah, 140 to 300 is where they sit at right now. And that's on a big server. I'm almost over halfway done leveling the second B-net. We'll see how it looks in Nax. Damn. Get them ready for the new Scarlet Monastery thing. Well, yeah, the whole Scarlet Monastery revamp is still a bit of a... It's still mostly guesswork. It could actually be more to do with the... what do you call it? The Headless Horseman. The Halloween event. More than a revamp of Scarlet Monastery. But... it'd be cool if they did it. Can't see why would SM have a lockout. No benefit in having a bunch of characters. I mean, there's no reason they couldn't give it a lockout. I don't know. Depends what they do with it. Realistically, the only reason that Nax works with multiple characters right now is because each and every character gets Scourge Stones. Obviously, under normal circumstances, if you take a team into a raid or a team into a party situation, all of a sudden the loot is shared. Scourge Stones are actually an exception to that rule, that each and every character gets them. Which I'm not even entirely sure was that an oversight, or was that actually meant to be the case? I don't know. Because you loot it off the boss the same as you loot a piece of armor. But the fact that it's every single person present gets one. So the more people you take into the dungeon, or in this scenario the raid, the more Scourge Stones that one raid lockout generates. That sort of thing's not always the case. Had a Hunt 1 Classic, but don't have one on retail. Should I go BM or MM? Well, Beastmaster is much better generally for like just leveling and like world content and stuff. But I think you'll probably find quite quickly, if you start doing any endgame content, Marksman is often preferred. Or embrace the spear, yeah, and just go survival. All that. Survival has its time. What's annoying is I really should be buying these slime-covered scrolls because there's still a whole bunch of recipes I need from these. Plated constructed rib cage, ancient plans Shade's blade, harbinger of death, edict of the redeemed crusader, the final dream, schematic replaced servo arm, face of doom. There's loads of things I need. But they are cheaper and easier in theory to buy off the auction house as and when I need them. Okay, we haven't got many tokens on this character yet, but oh, we've literally got 30. That's pathetic. All right, well, let's get them with death chips either way. Okay. Why can't I? Oh. Why can't I buy multiple of these at once? Right, whatever. Okay. Mad money incoming, right? Got a tune on Silvermoon EU. Got a few unobtainable items you can have if you want. Not really playing much anymore. And I knew you could make use of them. Hold on to them. Hold on to them, honestly. Hold on to them. Because whilst you may not necessarily be playing too much now, nobody quits World of Warcraft. Everybody takes holidays from WoW. You'll be back, don't worry. Heiberg Helm. Boo. Cheapest chips now. Phalanx weave. More Phalanx weave. Woohoo! Nada. Alright, let's equip that. We can equip this one as well. And realistically, everything else is being sold. Although we should send that somewhere. Sell that. Sell that. That we need to send somewhere. Now, why does that say collected but not collected? I don't know. Is that all the trash marked? I think that's all the trash marked. Is that the scrap add-on? Is it called scrap or peddler? I can't remember. It is. Peddler. I'm quite sure it is. Quitting Kata, visited every expansion briefly as I got them super cheap, came back properly just before Shadowlands, quit again, then came back for Dragonflight, now taking a break again. Yeah, people take vacations from World of Warcraft, but not much more than a vacation is what I tend to find historically. If you've been playing the game for a long time, it becomes substantially more difficult to actually properly finally put the game down. Right, where's my leatherworking? I need to remember to press these buttons every day. Crafted Dreadful Gladiator copper skin gloves. Crafted malevolent. I still can't say that word. Malevolent gladiator bindings of prowess. I can say it if I don't try to say it. That's weird, isn't it? Right. Square holders. We're unlikely to get square holders, but we do need to do Zul'Farrak. Where's... Oh no, I've changed my camp. My camp is no longer outside Zul'Farrak. I changed my camp to do the rifts. Now I don't need the rifts. Okay, I need to get my camp back at Zul'Farrak. Quickest and easiest way to get myself back to Zul'Farrak from here. As Horde. I'll tell you what we do. We go, hello, Mr. Zygor. And then we open the map. And we go here. And we do this. And Zygor tells me what we're doing. Orgrimmar, Caverns of Time. Then fly from Caverns of Time. It's on the wrong continent. Maybe I'm missing a trick here. Anyway, there is a quicker way. Portal hopping, but there is a quicker way. Orb of Translocation. You said Zul'Farrak, not Zul'Grub. Oh, did I? Oh, well, I meant Zul'Grub. Zul'Farrak, you would be right, yeah. You'd be spot on. And then we change this back to present time. Which, for some reason, doesn't work the first time you press it. No idea why. Then we take this portal to Stranglethorn Vale. Quick as you like. Right, remind me to actually set the camp, because there's a good chance I'll forget. Why have we got... Okay, now we can get rid of Zygor. What do we sell? Copper short sword, rolling in the money. Absolutely balling now with a copper short sword. The irony, somebody talking about white and grey transmogs. Crafted though, mind. Not vendor bought. Or even farmed. I don't think I need too many more runs of this place, to be honest. I still need a few of the different colour bijous for a couple of things, but I don't need a vast amount. The irony is I don't particularly think I need much on this character. I'm running it just on the 4th clue. The hell? Whatever. Make camp. I nearly pressed return to camp then. That would have made me cry. Fourth clue into the dungeon. Okay. It needs to be on heroic. Right. Let's pew a few things in here. What do we still need? What do we still need? Venom Reaver. Venom Reaver, Warblades of the Hikari Reborn, Judgment of Gurubashi, Fiery Vengeance, Ceremonial Staff, Voodoo Stick. They come from the tributes. I never actually did the tributes simply because I needed the Bijous for stuff. But I'm getting to the point where I don't need the Bijous for all that much stuff anymore. Meaning that I can start spending bonus ones. Shaman needs some in. Warrior needs something. The ensemble. Need 7. Apparently I've got 10. Oh, okay. Need 7 blue ones. Apparently I've already got 10. Oh, so maybe I don't actually need too many more of these. All the things claims I need 11. That doesn't make sense. Oh, it does. For the Bloodvine legs and goggles. Need 11, but I've got 14. Ooh, maybe I just need to go and distribute these properly and spend them. Oh, orange. I only have 6 orange ones, and I need 7 for the Druid ensemble. Oh, I'm actually really close to not need... Oh, no, hang on, there's more. Alright, well, let's just run it, and then we can do what we need to do after. Bukamish, welcome in. Welcome. Long time no see. Hope you're well. Let's get you pew-pewed, get you pew-pewed. Oh, no, that's not what I meant to do. That was my keybind for fetch. There was no look here's needed. I forgot about this ping thing. I do so little group content that I kind of forgot the ping even exists. Right, we certainly do not need to kill everything in here. Let's go kill the crocs. Yeah, once I've exhausted all uses for the Bijous in here, then we can start stacking them up and doing the tributes and hopefully start getting some of those rarer, more expensive patterns that I've been reluctant to buy. There's a green one. I think the one I really need is an orange one. Orange one is one I really need. Purple. Oh, I need 14 purples, apparently. $27 silver ones? Oh, but I've got 32 of them, okay. And then 11 yellows, but I've got 36. Okay, so I actually only need purples and oranges. Purples and oranges are the ones I actually need. Anything else goes in the spare pile and will be used for tribute runs after. Oh, a big bag of Bijous. Go on, give me like 14 purple ones, please. A gold and a green. Okay, never lucky. I don't think I've ever had a Bijou of these guys, but they do drop the coins. What's in me sack? Some Elementium ore. Oh no, the stupid boulders. I hate these. Don't. Oh god. Oh god. Oh god. Right, that way, that way, that way. It's literally the worst part of the whole dungeon. Do I still need the mount off this dude? I do, the armoured... I still need the mount. Oh, there's a really good reason to be in here then. As if I needed one. Right, let's kill these ones first. Go on, give me the mount. Give me the mount, give me the mount, give me the mount, give me the mount, give me the mount. Never lucky. I love the fact my pets can fetch for me. Especially considering they can go places I apparently can't. Yoink. Wasn't really worth 1 gold, but every little counts. Oh, there's another dude here. Okay, that's the bottom corner sorted. How do you use the pet to fetch? It's an ability that you actually need to go and buy. It's you never learn it as a hunter. You can purchase it from, I want to say, Hemet Nessingwary in Sholazar Basin. And then, yeah, it's just a fetch ability. Hence why a vast quantity of hunters probably don't have the ability to do it, because they never went and bought it. Yeah, I'm quite sure. I might be incorrect here, but I'm pretty sure from Sholazar Basin, Nessingwary Base Camp, you can buy it from a vendor over there. Not sure if there's any requirements. Don't quote me on that, because I can't remember. Was that the third or the fourth? There's got to be one over here somewhere. There we go. I'm an incompetent hunter. Don't worry. It's hidden a long, 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 long way away. And it doesn't surprise me if most people don't even know it exists. I wish there was a way to trade the colour of Bijous. If you could trade like 2 of one for 1 of another, that would fix my problem right now. Because for some reason, and I don't particularly know why, I'm massively short on purple ones. Of all the colours, I'm massively short on purple. And I won't do the gambling until I've got all of my purple ones. Is that the second Gurubashi Punisher I've picked up this run? I genuinely really enjoyed the fact that they did this like little side hustle. I prefer the I prefer this as a grindable event than I do Nax. Nax I find really boring to run for Scourge Stones because you are literally doing the same thing over and over again, and it highly requires you to just have lots of ults to do it. At least this is something you can do daily if you wish, and you don't need a billion characters. So the actual events, you know, should we call it the end game of this system, I much prefer. Yet the unlocking of Nax was really cool. In my opinion, one of the best little bits of content they've put in the game for a long time. And it's really quite sad that a vast amount of people will never do it because it's only really linked to the tier 3. Oh, is this maybe why Maelstrom crystals were like super cheap for a while? Oh, it probably is, isn't it? Just got Eve's Ghastly Rider from the trading post. No idea why. Eve's Ghastly Rider. Isn't that the new broomstick mount? Isn't that what you get this month for... or am I misremembering? Yeah, the new... Yeah, that's the new monthly reward, I think, yeah. It looks quite cool, that. Is that now, then... Oh, that's going to be a permanent broomstick mount, then? I've just realised. The significance of that. Yeah, obviously the broomstick mount for Hallows Eve, we never get to keep. People have wanted a permanent... I guess it's not insta-mount, though, is it? That's the cool thing about the broomstick, that there's no mount time. Which is insignificant short term, but massive long term. Hence why druids have been god tier. It becomes instant cast whilst the event is up. Oh, does it? Okay. That's cool. Only according to its tooltip, though. Okay. Yeah, I haven't focused on doing much trading post stuff yet, so I might need to do a little bit more before I get that, but it's cool all the same. Right, how many casts do you think we're going to have to do before we get the Bijou from fishing? Have I had a single orange or purple one this run? I've had 2 orange ones. Hey, there we go. Waterclogged cache. What do I really want in here? Bronze Bijou will take. Yeah, I genuinely think that the little introductory, the unlocking of Scholomance and unlocking the secrets of Naxxramas was very, very clever. I mean, admittedly, it was gamified to all hell, and we figured it all out within a day. And I even put out my guide for it within, I think, probably less than 48 hours of the event being a thing. But that's just the way of the world nowadays. Either way, it was a really cool little piece of content. And I like the fact that it was like secret driven. It wasn't just here's a quest and here's a marker on your map. That you kind of had to think and use your brain a touch or look up a guide, which we did 50-50 of. We didn't do it completely blind because we're not stupid, but a third Gurubashi Punisher. Apparently we can't get enough. I think the Nax and the Skolo event is some of the best, if not the best, in this expansion. Yeah, I mean the world events that they've done, the storms, the rifts, the Dream Surge stuff, is all very average. I mean, it's cool that there's something repetitive that you can chip away at if that's your jam. But I think for most people, it was just more of an annoyance than anything else because it wasn't particularly fun, but you were then incentivized to do it many, 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 many times. People don't mind grinding something if there's ways to make the grind more interesting. And the time gating aspect of it was kind of frustrating with the rifts, the fact they were once an hour. Making players do the same thing over and over and over and over again. What are these clues? What is this? What is going on? What is all these clues business? Why am I spinning around like a moron? Really confused right now. What are these clues business? Is there an event on the go that I have completely missed? Gotcha. Bigger, meaner, faster. A light. Does anybody have any idea what this is and why it's randomly here? Clues about the first Mimron part. This was where you are. Oh, is that what it is? Oh, we've done all of this. How come we've got the ability to do it all again? Or are they just going to sit there forever and a day now? Is that what it was? I don't remember coming to ZG for that. Maybe we did. Because I don't remember these arrows on the floor either. I don't know. You could skip ZG by stumbling upon a subsequent clue, but it was part of the secret. Oh, okay. Maybe that's what I did then. Maybe I somehow accidentally glossed over it, which is why I don't remember it. That's a very good chance. Or the other possibility is that I just don't remember. How did you stun me? Lies. Okay, what's this? Like 2 bosses left? 2 bosses. Not chasing me anymore. Bind on equip. Low level trinket. Increase your strength by 41 for 15 seconds. Requires level 33. Oh, that's probably a cool trinket if you can get that the right item level. A green one. We got enough green ones. We don't need green ones. Oh, I do vaguely remember coming here for some reason. Obviously, from a developmental point of view, though, any piece of content that they make any piece of content that they make, they clearly want it to be. What's the right way of describing this? They clearly want it to be worth their while making it. This means single use content in an MMO is just as timely to create, I would imagine, in many cases. Yet, obviously, the return on that development time is probably of the lowest because people do it once. So the unlocking of Scholomance and the storyline aspects of that, while it was very cool, I kind of understand why they don't do too much of that. But I am of the opinion that, you know, at least each and every major content patch, they should be doing some few hour long story based driven piece of content. This is why, like I said, I can't particularly bash on the rifts or the dream surges or even the storms too hard because, you know, any content is better than no content. But at the very same time, this ever repeatable, high paced grind, Zerg and kill style events that they seem to have done a lot of in Dragonflight, it gets boring very quick. And if it wasn't for the collectionist in me wanting to just have access to everything that event provided, I can understand why a lot of people have gone, oh, another event. And I think this could be 10.2's problem. That I think the Dream Surges are... Well, admittedly, I've only done the Dream Surges on the PTR where I've only done the Dream Surges on the PTR where it's only me and like 1 or 2 other people doing it, so it's very slow. But at the same time as it being very, very slow, it's also time gated anyway. Their time, 2 sections of the Dream Surge event, or multiple sections of the Dream Surge event are on a timer. So it doesn't matter how fast you smash them. It's going to take you 25 minutes to complete a Dream Surge. And then you're going to wait half an hour before you then get the opportunity to do it again. I do think people might get burnt out with these hourly, half-hourly events that ultimately are very grindy. Because I think it's pretty low effort, is my honest approach. It's content, and so you can't argue about it too heavily, because content is content, right? But it does feel relatively low effort for a game where we hold it to a higher standard, because we not for very logical reasons, may I add. We hold most players of World of Warcraft hold it to a very high standard. But that is because you pay for the game and you pay monthly to continue to play the game. That, you know, Blizzard set the rules here. Blizzard themselves set the rules. If it was a free-to-play game and their monetization model is to sell you cosmetics to generate revenue, you can let them off a little bit more. There's more leeway there. But Blizzard set the rules and they set the expectations high. And so, you know, it can't be thrown back in the player's face when they, you know, point out what feels like quite low effort content. If the leaks end up being true and it is a dwarf expansion, I hope we're going to go back to the best dungeon ever created, BRD, the only real dungeon. Dungeons are, for as long as Mythic Plus exists, dungeons will be boring AF. There'll be there's no room for creativity in dungeons for as long as Mythic Plus exists, because Mythic Plus has to, you know, the dungeon has to have a formula that works with Mythic Plus, or they need to specifically make dungeons that are never going to be in the Mythic Plus pool. If they could make dungeons that are more creative and more interesting and have no plans to ever be in the Mythic Plus pool, then they can be more creative with what they do in there. But for as long as Mythic Plus exists, all of the dungeons will feel the same. So unfortunately, yeah. Maybe this is why I've liked going back to do Nax and to do ZG and stuff. It's a way to explore some of the older dungeons, without there being this kind of like weird formula, and every dungeon takes within reason a similar amount of time, and sheesh. I don't know. I've mentioned on many occasions my dislike for Mythic Plus as a concept, and I think Mythic Plus generally is quite detrimental to the overall quality of the game. But you can't argue the fact that it's an element of the game that's also very, very, very heavily engaged with. So, you know, Blizzard have no reason to get rid of something that's actually one of the only things that's doing well for them technically. It's just a bit of an odd situation where I don't think it adds value to the game. I think it detracts value from the game, but people still enjoy it and people still play it. So it's a bit of a thorn in their side again. It's kind of like regular flying was for many expansions, where Blizzard couldn't quite figure out how they wanted to get rid of flying without just getting rid of flying. And it's taken until Dragonflight for them to really work out a semi-elegant way to do it. They've tried a bunch of things. They've tried Pathfinders, which inherently just annoy people because people have all of these flying mounts and want to be able to fly. And then at the start of an expansion, they're like, oh, sorry, I know you saved the world like 10 minutes ago, but you're not allowed to fly anymore. It's, you know, they've tried things like that in the past that just hasn't worked. I think Mythic Plus is going to end up being something very similar. The problem isn't as obvious, though, as it was with flying, which means, you know, and on the premise that nobody really has particularly any issues with flying. Flying doesn't particularly detract from the game too much, other than the problem is everybody just hovers and nobody even sees anybody else, and it makes the zones feel remarkably small. In Dragonflight, they got around that by just making the zones really goddamn big, and then giving you a semi-limited form of flying that was kind of cool enough that it was enough steps forward. Dragon flying was enough steps forward to distract people from the one or two steps back. that you were practically taking. Not being able to hover, you had to manage vigor. You had to, in essence, learn a new way of navigation. But generally, I actually think that form of navigation is much better. Traversal from A to B in a video game is a really important aspect of a video game. And regular flying is about as boring as it gets. In the form of regular flying we have in WoW, in many other games, is like a camera hack. It's that like just dull and simplistic. You fly up, you fly across, you fly down. Hence why bots have been able to do it no problem for years. Dragon flying, on the other hand, is a form of getting from A to B. It's a form of traversing the zones that's actually technically more interesting to do and more fun to do. So it makes that, some people prefer walking, or some people prefer cycling over taking public transport or driving, because getting from A to B can be more fun if you're cycling than it is if you're just sat in a car, say, for example, or if you're sat on a train. Getting places needs to interest people as well. There was a video the other day I saw about this that was really cool. I wonder if I can find it. Who was it by? Let's see if I can find it. I think I know. Where is it? Yeah, here we go. This was a really good video, and it appears everybody else thought it was a really good video as well, because it's done good views. And this, I think, will explain in some way why. This explains very well for me why dragon riding is objectively better than regular flying. Let me make sure that you guys have at least some audio for this. And more importantly, I'll give you the link. Go make sure you hit the like button on the link. Let me grab a drink real quick. When normal flying is in Dragon Flight, I will never use Dragon flying again. I think you might be surprised, because you've got to also remember Dragon flying is substantially faster. Substantially faster.
In my old Dev Diary series, I frequently talked about my adherence to the philosophy of game design that focuses on the primary gameplay loop, or the moment-to-moment, second-to-second experience. But we've been seeing a lot of big games lately where the primary gameplay loop appears to be, well, a secondary concern. For all the merits or demerits of Starfield and Baldur's Gate 3 that I'm sure we could argue over until the Metacritic scores come home, neither game would look particularly enticing if you randomly clipped a few seconds of an average run-through. The Starfield clip would probably just be a mid-conversation staring contest with a dead-eyed
loading
NPC,
screen.
and the Baldur's Gate 3 clip would be me yelling at that bloody Astarion for not automatically jumping over a chasm the way all my other children did. These games are unapologetically focused on the big picture. It's usually with these epic-scale RPGs and such like that the primary gameplay loop philosophy breaks down. They're supposed to be about your long-term goals, reaching the end of the journey, telling a grand narrative that unfolds over hours upon hours of play. But is that any reason not to have a strong primary gameplay loop? Maybe you like Baldur's Gate, but imagine if you had the option of traversing that game's maps on the back of a purring motorbike.
Hey there, Internet.
Works.
This episode of Extra Punctuation is brought to you by Raid Shadow Legends. While I'm sure you've heard of this
Oh,
game, do
God.
you really know anything about it?
Oh, God.
Raid Shadow Legends is
It's
a
a-
turn-based
oh,
battle
if we're
MMORPG
normally I'd
that
skip
lets you
this, but
fight
since
hordes
we're
of enemies
reacting,
using over 700
just,
unique champions.
sit through the
Fight with
Raid
horrible
Shadow
monsters,
Legends ad
heroic
for a
knights,
second.
orcs,
It's how these guys
banshees,
get
and
paid.
the Snorting Thug. All right. And now Raid is increasing their roster of awesome-looking champions with a brand new rarity.
I
Mythical.
literally
The
get an
Mythical
email
champions
at
have a
least
special
once
new
a week
mechanic called
telling me to
Metamorph that
advertise
allows you
Raid
to
Shadow
change between
Legends.
2 different forms. Just like I'm going to transform from Summerjack to...
Oh god, it's a
Winterjack.
legit
This one, though,
reaction,
gives you
yeah.
plus 10
Fucking
clovers,
Raid Shadow
which
Legends,
is
man.
almost as powerful as these guys. You can basically summon 2 champions for one with a brand new primal shard.
If it's
in
a
the
baked-in
portal.
ad in a
Both forms
vid,
use the same
I
artifacts,
feel bad for
accessories,
skipping it,
masteries, and
because the
blessings.
reason it's
So
there
you'll have
is,
to be
you know,
strategic when using these versatile
it's how they make money.
Hey, how about a free legendary champion? Check out Sun Wukong, Raid's take on the mischievous Monkey King. All you have to do is log into Raid on 7 different days between August 22nd and October 23rd to get your hands on this awesome champion. New players
Tell you, if
only
we
now
were going to
get
do a
chance to get one of the
series
best epic
on
champions,
predatory
Stag Knight, as well as a
monetization
skin
models,
firm designed by
I would
John
imagine
Tron
Raid
himself.
Shadow
Just
Legends
use
would
the
be up
promo
the
code
top there.
JT Skin before October 7th. Also, if you click the link or scan the QR code that's right here, you'll get a free starter pack with this cool in-game loot. So just hit the link in the description and I'll see you on the battlefield.
Traversal is the subject of the day, and I was recently reminded in the course of playing the eternally awkwardly named Bomb Rush Cyberfunk just how much I appreciate games with a strong traversal focus, that find a way to make the mere act of getting from point A to point B fun and interesting, not just the act of slaughtering the monsters that have taken up residence at point B. And I fear traversal...
Obviously, once watching this, compare this to how World of Warcraft does it. I don't think at any point there's a focus on World of Warcraft in this video, but, you know, flying or mounted, you know, in Classic, getting your mount at 40 was like such a big thing, because up until that point you had no better way to get from A to B than either expensive flight paths that you had to find first, or walking. Hella boring, right? So, you know, take what is said here and compare it to WoW, and you'll start to see why Dragonflight is generally considered much better.
There's one of the many things that is frequently overlooked in the smashed-together genre smorgasbord that is the big-name, overly scoped AAA experience these days. Back in retro times, when genres were more distinct, traversal was an entire subset of genres. You had platformers, of course, your Mario and your Sonic, where obviously it's fine if you want to stop and murder everything you pass, but getting all the way to the right of the starting point is what actually progresses you, and where most of the skill challenge lies. I have a personal specific fondness for those old games where you're flying or travelling down a linear tunnel and have to dodge obstacles as they fly at you.
The
like
Sonic
bonus
game was
minigame
really
from Sonic
cool.
2 or Sky Roads. I have fond memories of playing an Amiga game from a magazine cover disc along these lines in the early 90s that I seem to remember was called Technozone, and I'd be gratified if anyone else knows what the hell I'm talking about, because Google sure as hell doesn't. In slightly more recent
Technozone?
times,
Never
the
heard of
first
it.
king of traversal in a 3D open world setting was, for me, Spider-Man 2, the movie adaptation on the PS2 and GameCube. I could web swing around
This
that
game
city
was
all day.
incredible
Something I
back
got
in
no
the day.
satisfaction from in later Spider-Man sandboxes like Web of Shadows and The Amazing Spider-Mans, largely because traversal in those was usually just point in a direction and hold down the web swing button, and the essence of fun traversal in video games is that it has to be a skill challenge, because what makes it satisfying to pull off is the possibility of completely screwing it up. In Spider-Man 2, and gratifyingly the recent Spider-Man games, if you run out of buildings or mistime a change of direction, then you're going to leave primary coloured smears all over the brickwork. Superhero sandboxes are
You're
usually
gonna
the
go
go-to
splat.
for fun traversal in my experience. Games like Infamous, Prototype, Just Cause, and Gravity Rush have all found their own ways to make it fun. But even Grand Theft Auto and its imitators make traversal interesting. The challenge in GTA traversal was to find / steal a car and drive it to the mission objective without dinging someone's brake light and getting forced off the road by gun-toting twitchy cops. Feels like I've played a lot of AAA...
Why was he playing GTA 4 there out of all games? What was wrong with the GTA 5? Surely that would have looked better.
world games in the recent age. For some reason, Horizon Zero Dawn is what's currently leaping to mind, where traversal consists mostly of lining yourself up with the objective marker and pushing forwards. Without interesting traversal, you end up with what I tend to think of as commute games, where you're just arbitrarily obliged to hike across the map in between the actual gameplay. Gotham Knights would be another
E.g.
perfect example. It's the
Starfield.
surefire sign of a game having gone in an open world direction purely for the status it brings, and not because they've given any cocking thought as to what the open world actually adds to the experience. Little surprise then that we're seeing the indie sphere doing what it does best and filling the genre void that AAA leaves behind, with such traversal-focused games as Bomb Rush Cyberfunk, XO1, and Neon White bubbling to the surface in recent years. Actually, speaking of Neon White, my interest in video game traversal seems to be related to my growing interest in speedrunning culture. Those nutty shitheads found a way to turn Quake 1 into a skill traversal game, as long
Speedruns
as
are
you're willing
mental.
to learn how to jump on the exact right frame 9,000 times for the one time you get a .0 0.001 second boost from a random enemy bullet. It is worth considering in the age of professional streaming that, as well as being fun to play, skillful traversal is a hell of a lot more interesting to watch. I'm not about to start Quake speedrunning myself anytime soon. I used up all my wrist muscle memory on masturbation techniques. But let's bring things back around to the start. Hypothetically, could we add the element of fun traversal to Starfield and Baldur's Gate 3? Well, I'd say Baldur's Gate 3 gets a whole pass out of this. Let's not forget that context can take the place of challenge and catharsis, in accordance with my 3Cs theory of game appeal, while the mere act of travelling through Baldur's Gate 3's world isn't much to write to your DM about at best, and kind of frustrating at worst, especially when I'm trying to get the whole party to sneak through an owlbear cave. The thrust of that game is a sense of constant discovery. You're always making decisions on what path to take next and stumbling into little random encounters, so it rarely feels like hiking across needlessly long distances to get to the stuff that matters. But then there's Starfield, and
oh good lord, then there's Starfield. Yes, this is why I don't think Starfield has much hope long term, because the core aspect of the game is just dull. It doesn't offer you any you have to traverse from A to B in a menu hopping, load screen jumping way, to then run on foot in a straight line across very uninspiring landscape, to then have another 3-minute face-to-face conversation with somebody before you have to turn around and do it all again. There is vast amounts wrong with that at a fundamental standing, and it's just not fun after you've done it for a while.
Goodness, if there's any game that clearly wasn't willing to put the effort into making traversal fun, you can tell because they gave up. You basically go to places exclusively by fast travelling from the menu. And perhaps that's understandable, because Starfield is also going for a generally realistic tone, and if there's a way to make realistic space travel interesting on a moment-to-moment level,
Flying
it
from
certainly
A to B
escapes
doing
me.
nothing.
Oh sure, space can have grandeur, you can drink in the sublime majesty of the cosmos, but when you gotta get somewhere in it, all you're doing is lining up with the objective and pressing forwards again, because there's nothing in space. That's why it's called space. You can add some asteroids for the player to dodge around, but it's not a very interesting challenge. What will I do now? Oh, I guess I'll move to this other bit of infinite space that doesn't have an asteroid in it. No, I can't pick on Starfield for its lack of fun traversal in the space travel, so I'll pick on it for the lack of it in the planet exploring instead. I found some low-key contemplative entertainment in surveying planets for specific features, but most of what that entailed was walking across kilometers of randomly generated rocky landscape, sometimes bunny hopping if it was one of those planets with fun gravity, and it wasn't long before I was sorely hankering for a ground vehicle. The one thing
Of course. The only game where having less gravity can actually then be fun, because it gives you some way to get from A to B by just hopping about, rather than it being a linear straight line. Of course, yeah.
Didn't rip off from No Man's Sky, and probably should have. I wanted a motorbike or a hovercraft or a little Mars rover strapped to each foot, and at the risk of overscoping the game even further, maybe some kind of Tony Hawk style system that awards you for doing sweet jumps off of craters. And because it wouldn't be a fun challenge without the possibility of failure, maybe if you face planted spectacularly into the rocks, it'd leave a mysterious blood-stained dent for the local primitive aliens to base a religion around.
Makes sense. So yeah, this video jumped to mind very quickly when talking about flying, and this is why I think, generally speaking, dragon riding is a much better system to have in an MMO, because the regular flying that we have, where you just hop on a mount and you fly up and you move and you drop down, is decidedly boring. And even when they've tried to make it slightly more interesting, they've given mounts like animation, like the harvest golem, for example. The harvest golem sways from side to side to make it look a little bit more interesting than you're just flying in a perfectly straight line. But the reality is you are still just flying in a perfectly straight line. If you hit something, all of a sudden your character model snaps back into its regular position. It's a bit weird. And so dragon riding, when there's an element of skill to it, it's a bit faster. It has the obvious drawback, though, that you can't just hover. You can't just go up, across, and down. You can't infinitely, There's a bit more skill attached to it. Getting from A to B is much more fun. And you know, in an open world-esque game, that makes a lot of sense to have. He talks slow compared to zero punctuation videos. Yeah, I think in those videos he's trying to make them go super fast. I can't help but wonder how they have so much money to pay so many streamers and YouTubers. What, Raid Shadow Legends? Not that I suggest you ever play it. And although I might suggest you play it at some point if they send me a briefcase of cash, but outside of that, because everybody's got a price, right? But the reality is that within 5 minutes of playing the game, yes, the game may be free, but it doesn't stay free for very long. I would imagine their average games that work along those lines very carefully calculate their lifetime customer value. So if they can onboard you, if they can get you playing the game and it costs them X amount in advertising to get you in the game, let's say it costs them $100 in advertising to get you to start playing the game, but they know that the average player spends $150 across the life of playing the game, they can justify spending $100 to get you to play the game because they know that on average they'll make more than that off the back end. And the more aggressive the monetization model, the higher the average player spend probably is, and the more they can spend on marketing. So generally speaking, the more that a free-to-play game like Raid Shadow Legends is willing to spend on marketing, the more aggressive and effective their monetization model probably is. Which hence why puts things like Raid Shadow Legends pretty high on the tree, I would imagine. Pretty scary but true. Right, let's distribute some of these Bijous then, because apparently I've got enough of these to actually buy a whole bunch of stuff, and I didn't even know I did. So we're going to need to... Who needs these ones? My engineer. My old school engineer. Ah, now I'm starting to remember why. I sent my... or transferred over my a couple of characters. Let me make sure I get their names right. Because this dude, who I wanted back in the day, wanted to call Gumballs, but Gumballs was taken, so I just took an L out. So it's Gumballs. This dude is my old school engineer. Now, the question is does he have Classic Engineering 300? Can he learn all of these old recipes? I think he probably does. I'm quite sure I've leveled everything Classic. He's chilling outside Nax currently. Is his engineering up to scratch? Yes. He has Classic Engineering and would very much welcome some of these patterns. Okay. Do you have WoW thing set up? I did. I did once upon a time. You're right, I should probably use that again because it was very handy. I did once upon a time, I don't now. Because I think it requires the... There's a little in-game, there's a little in-game add-on, and I even think there's a little desktop application. I think when I changed my computer, I probably didn't reinstall the little desktop application thing. Actually, this dude probably doesn't need to live at Nax right now. We need to get him to ZG.
Greetings. May the eternal sun shine.
Right, I think all my Bijous are in the bank here. So let's distribute these.
Be careful.
So auction features something that would help you a lot for the recipes that I'm missing. Yeah, there is a whole bunch of stuff. I've only just transferred these characters over to this realm so I can easily have access to them. So Raid Shadow Legends is written in Unity. Well, I would imagine that they're also big enough to not care about 20 cents per install. Honestly. I would suspect their average lifetime customer value to be at least 3 figures based upon how much they spend to onboard people. I mean, that's, you know, a wild guess, but 20 cents per install, I don't think they care about. And they probably do enough that they don't pay 20 cents either. They probably have a direct contract with them. Right, let's just make this easier. Let's send everything to the banker, and then the banker can distribute it from there. That's an easier solution, isn't it? Right, gold ones. Oh, it's not as easy as that, is it? I've just realised it's not as easy as that because this account doesn't have all the things. Okay, I have another solution. The other solution is send them all back and I'll do it off this character. Why does it not have... Okay. Schematic. That's a warrior. He's also a warrior. Shaman. He's not a shaman. Rogue. He's not a rogue. Oh, I don't have a rogue. Oh dear, what a shame I don't have a rogue. Blood Trench Leather. Blood Trench Grips and Mask. Who's that for? I don't even know. Their bonuses. Druid. Warlock. Don't have a Warlock. Bloodvine Boots. Bloodvine Boots. Is that not leatherworking? No, tailoring. Tailoring. And it probably is 7 of them, isn't it? And this is alchemy. Mighty Troll Blood Elixir, Living Action Potion, Mage Blood Elixir, Greater Dreamless Sleep Potion. Yeah, that's all alchemy stuff. And then Priest. Right, so gold and bronze. Go to that dude. The Shaman. What's my Shaman called? Can't remember the name of... Rocket Chick or something. Shaman. Shaman. Okay, just those. And my druid needed some as well, didn't he? And then which ones? That's a rogue. I don't have a rogue. I need to fix that problem. I have a rogue, just not... Well, that's a lie. I have a rogue, it's just not on the right realm. It means I can still fix it, I suppose. Those are just a bonus now. Blood-drenched leather. I guess if it's leather, we can also send that to the druid. Warlock. I need to send that to the warlock. These are just bonus ones now. Sorry, my brain works very slowly with stuff like this. Bloodvine boots we said was tailoring, didn't we? So that's then that one. Right, okay. Now that should, for the most part, allow us to buy everything that we still need. So let's start with Mr. Mage, because Mr. Mage can get there nice and quick. Where's my music gone? Where's the tunes gone? Okay, I actually don't have enough to buy everything here. But let's hope that the Bloodvine boots are still cheap enough. I've also just realised that people need more than just the Bijous, don't they? There's also the what are they called?
Greetings.
What are they called and where have I put them all? Because I had a bunch of them. That's going to annoy me now because I can't remember what they're called. The ones where you combine the coins together. Not the coins themselves, but the things you make once you've turned them into coins. I have a sneaky suspicion I made a whole boatload of those. I'll figure that out when I get there. Famous last words. Figure that out when I get there. Famous last words. Let's hope that doesn't bite me in the ass. Ow, balls, wrong button. Fat fingered my keybinds. Having mount directly next to time warp is maybe not the smartest move. I fat finger that way too often. Where's the lift? Nice. I still like this albatross mount, you know. It's one of my favourites. I don't particularly know why. He's just cool. I got me pigeon ready if I need to send something else over anyway, so we should be able to get Bloodvine boots. That's my plan. I'm really hoping they're not more than 6 purples. I could have wow-headed this before I made my way over here, but otherwise I could just leave this dude here. And heck, he could even do a run himself, to be fair. So what was it? Bloodvine boots. Bloodvine boots. 7? Oh, Lord. Zandalari bargaining tokens. That was the thing I was thinking of. 80 of them. I'll say, okay, yeah, I did make a whole bunch of these at some point. Okay, I need 3 Zandalari bargaining tokens. And 1 more purple. Apparently, the Zandalari bargaining tokens are in this dude's bags. Ha! There they are. Well, what do you know? Right, well, if I need a purple, mage can just do a quick run then. See if the mage can snag himself a purple nice and quick. What we don't have is easy looting on this dude, unfortunately. These dudes do drop. These drop Bijus? I can never remember. I don't think they do because they're not elite. I think it's only the elite. I think they have the chance of dropping coins. Coins I don't care so much about because coins you can just buy. And they're cheap as chips. Cheapest chips that there, love. Let's kill Godwaller here. Another Gurubashi Punisher. Let's vendor these now. It's really sad. That an epic bind on equip is worth like nothing more than vendoring. Oh, I know I said I like the Albatross mount. One I like more. Love Rocket. Yeah, baby. Still very high on my... Love Rocket is still very high on my usage list. More importantly, because it annoys people. Oh, cock. I mean, oh no. I wonder if next expansion people will feel more comfortable farming mounts again. I've seen way less people give a damn about mounts this expansion as well. And I think dragon riding has definitely got something to do with that. Considering that they don't feel as if they're going to really have much use for the mount, even if they farm it. People with love rockets are compensating for something, just saying. Oh, without doubt, yeah. Yeah. I have an absolutely tiny bank account. It's shocking. You want to show off your mount, but you can't. Yeah. Hey, a purple! There we go. Stream of luck. That's exactly what I wanted. The annoyance is I actually need way more purples. How many do I need? I need 4. I need another 7 on top of this for the Warlock ensemble. But I care substantially less about transmog than I do about patterns, so I'm already a happy goblin now. So I consider this a win. Kill these just because it's easy to kill these. Get another sack of goodies. The Elementium ore itself is worth something. Whoa! 13 gold apiece for Elementium ore. Sure. That's been as low as 2 gold apiece, like, previously. I guess there's nobody out there botting it, so supplies dry up. I thought about a little concept for you know how I desperately despise farming in any shape or form. I was trying to come up with a way to value items that I farm. Want to buy Valdrakken port from Orgrimmar, please? I'm sure you do. Busy, mate. I've thought for a long time that there's got to be a better way to price the things I farm. And I was trying to figure out some sort of way to price things based upon how long it takes you to get them. And then you can somehow attribute all of that to... So let's say in TSM, for example, you had a... Alchemist with 300 skill can interact with a tablet to learn the recipe. Gurubashi Mojo Madness. Oh, clever. I'll bring my shaman in there. Let's say you want to make 30,000 gold an hour. In fact, no, let's link... If you could link it more so to the token. If you could link it to the token, it would be really clever. So let's say you wanted to make 1/10 of a token per hour. You were happy to spend 10 hours farming to get your token. That you would want to make 1/10 of a token per hour. And so anything that you acquire within said hour, you would value it on a ratio basis of whatever 1/10 of a token was. So let's say for the ease of maths, a token's 400k, and you want to only do 10 hours worth of farming a month. What should you then be pricing the stuff that you've farmed at? Well, your entire inventory, you should be pricing it at 40k per hour, right? So if it takes you an hour to get 1,000 cloth, then you're going to be charging like 40 gold for each piece of cloth or something. It's a little bit unrealistic, and in most cases, you'll probably really struggle to sell things doing it that way. But what it will do is allow you to slowly but surely over time stock a huge amount of stuff, and to then, more importantly than anything else, only sell it when the price is right for you. This is kind of ignoring the market. So this is predominantly the same as just using hard-coded gold values in TSM, which so few people do nowadays because, well, for smart reasons, honestly. This is kind of a bit backwards as far as, like, it's kind of a bit backwards because you would always suggest people use a percentage of market value or something, otherwise you are going to struggle to sell things. But as we know, market prices themselves change. And if you only ever wanted to know that you were selling stuff at a basis of 40k per hour or something, try to figure out a way to price that and to make that happen without actually having to individually price every single item. There's got to be a way to do it, and I haven't really thought about it too much, but... And it's probably done by having categorized, setting up your TSM groups in a by price. So everything you put in this group, 10 gold. Everything you put in another group, 20 gold. Everything you put in another group, 40 gold. And so your groups are not organized based upon what the thing is, but by how much you want to sell it for. And so you can then sort of, if you know that you get 1,000 of a cloth farming for a piece for an hour, you know that you need to put that cloth in the 40 gold category. So you'll then only sell it when it's being sold at a value that equates to 40k an hour. I don't know if it's even feasible to try and do something like that. It sounds really dumb at face value. But if you are going to farm, you should at least be getting out of it what you want out of it. And long term, it will mean you then always have an awful lot of stuff to sell, but it will all be priced. You won't sell much of it, but when you do sell it, at least you have that comfort of knowing that it's being sold at a price that is valuable to, based upon how, to you. I've probably butchered the description of that, and it probably doesn't make a lot of sense to people, but I just think that people have, over the years, have developed such a strict way of dealing with pricing stuff, predominantly because of TSM and having, like, obviously TSM out of the box, just posting things at a price it thinks is sensible. And then every man and their dog is running around like a blue-ass fly trying to find the latest thing to farm. You're chasing your tail in that regard. If you farm something and you want to make 40k an hour, don't sell it. Don't sell it for less than what equates to 40k an hour, sort of thing. And then what you need to do, then you inventory manage, right? You say, okay, well, I've sold a bunch of this now. Maybe the market's flipped on the valuation of that thing. I've sold a bunch of it now. Now this is the thing I should go farm more. The thing you go out and farm every day is the thing that you've sold. You're just replenishing your stock. Like I said, the reality is, in most cases, you probably won't sell a lot of what you actually farm, or at least you won't be selling it very quickly. But when you do sell it, it's then a really good indicator to you that that thing is now either really short in demand, or somebody's recently done a market reset or something on it, and is then a good thing to actually go out and maybe refarm up. Putting it in groups like that would be a headache as prices fluctuate so much. It only stays relevant for perhaps a patch. Yeah, but it's based, you price things based upon how long it takes you to get them. So if you know it takes you an hour to get 1,000 of something, and you want to make 40k an hour, you price it at 40 gold each. That will never change, because it will still take you, it will still take you if you sell that 1,000, it would then still take you an hour to go get more of it. And in that hour, you would also want to likely make 40k again, for example. So the valuation of the items is never going to change because it's based upon how long it takes you to get them. It would change, obviously it would change on ever so slightly from one expansion to the next. So current expansion materials are predominantly more timely to farm because the time to kill the mobs that drops the things is more. So you'd have to, from one expansion to another, change materials. But anything that's old school, you could just, it'd be in a group. You could farm up a bunch of it, list it, and if and as and when it sells, then it's a good indicator that it's, something's up with that item. You just gave an example of how much stuff can vary, e.g. Elementium. Yeah, but if it tanks all the way down to 2 gold, you just wouldn't be selling yours. That's the point. Yours just wouldn't sell. Yours would you'd probably have it listed on the auction house, but it probably wouldn't sell. You might catch a reset or something happening and sell a few bits of it, but predominantly this is not pricing it to sell. It's pricing it at a point where if you do sell it, you would be happy to go out and get more of it, if that makes sense. Like I said, the whole concept of this is actually ignoring whatever the market is doing. Because the market prices for things tend to dip aggressively based on oversupply. Trick is to systemize it. Yeah, exactly. Like the problem more than anything is that I don't really feel that there's an easy way to do it. And there's also the inherent problem of that it becomes very, very easy for somebody else to come along and then say, well, you know what, I'm happy to take 39,000 gold per hour, and they just undercut you constantly. Or they're just pricing under you forever, and you end up going to the back of the queue for everything. So in reality, it probably isn't something, because then it's just a case of whoever is willing to work for the least. I mean, that's pretty much how the market works anyway. Whoever's willing to farm for the lowest amount per hour tends to be the people who sell things. But for me, it takes away a lot of the constant cat and mouse game of what's the thing that's in demand right now. Oh, okay, quickly, let's go farm it. You would just end up with an inventory of stock of most things, materials-wise, yet you'd be pricing and only listing them at a point to where if they sell, you know that you'd be happy to go out and farm that thing again. That it lets the game tell you what is needed rather than you having to desperately seek out what is the latest and greatest thing to be farming, for example. But welcome in, Woo, by the way. Haven't spoken to you for a while. Hope you're well. I got elbow deep in a thought. Ooh, alchemist foot wraps. We actually got a recipe to drop from one of the bosses. That's very rare. That's very rare. It's one we already have. Oh, animist's foot wraps. My mistake. It's one we already have, but I mean, it's, a couple of K. I don't do it for farm maps. 1, I don't farm, and 2, there are too many items to be farmed, hence more variables, but I followed this kind of methodology for all my farmed pets. Minimum gold per hour multiplied by the time spent per kill times the probability of the pet dropping per kill. If the price is too low, move on to the next realm to list the pets. Yeah, like I said, it's based more on the concept of not how much time it took you to get something, but more based upon the fact that if you were to sell it, how much time would it then take you to go get it again? It's switching the focus from, past tense to future tense. And predominantly removing any market fluctuations from getting in the way. There's obviously the problem, though, that for vast periods of an expansion, you might end up being in a position where you just don't sell anything because your gold per hour rate is just not competitive, and you just will ultimately end up selling nothing. But that's why you need to link it all to some custom price source that you can just adjust on the fly and change your gold per hour threshold. If you could have a custom price source in TSM be your gold per hour threshold, and then every other operation works off the back of that by some ratio or percentage, it's probably feasible. I just haven't really thought about it in much detail. If you believe in Adam Smith and the supply-demand balance and all of that, just check out which commodities are currently rising, go farm that, and hey, hope life is good. Yeah, I mean, this is once again another scenario of me probably massively overthinking it, but it's I definitely think there's a way to gamify it more than is being done currently. And for it to be done in a way that provides value to farming. Because there's this vast, ungodly swing of, or seemingly patch through patch, and even from the start of an expansion to later on in the expansion, there's this huge swing in what your time could be worth by going out and farming stuff. And I tend to think one of the biggest problems for me about that, more than anything else, is that why the hell would you sell all of your farming time for 10k an hour when there's periods in the expansion when that same time can be worth 40, 50k an hour? Did that miss the chain? No, it didn't. It's fine. Once you have that system done, you won't use it to decide on what to farm. You will just become a very successful flipper. Well, I suppose that's also true. You'll then start to be able to at a glimpse, based upon what you're listing things for and based upon what they're currently listed for on the auction house, you'd very quickly start to be able to say, right, well, nobody in their right mind is going to go and farm this stuff for 2,000 gold an hour. So it's probably just very, very cheap right now. If we flip this, I'm not going to have too much problems with the flip because nobody's going to be stupid enough to go back out and farm it for 3k an hour. So I can still, gain a 50% profit on that sort of thing. Yeah. I think there's merit to doing something like that. I just haven't really figured out exactly how I would do it. It's one of those, one of those random thoughts I have about a way of doing something that I don't know if it's even really feasible. It needs testing, really. I could imagine if there was a similar interface that's already worth it, but that added region average sold per day in current price trends, that would help you decide what to farm. Yeah, I do think the Worth It add-on has a lot of room to grow. I think it does very simplistic things at the moment, but could, because I don't know how, what I don't know is how Dala values the farms, right? I don't know if it's based upon how, I don't know if it's taking into consideration anything else you get by doing said farm, because rarely when you're farming for something are you only getting one thing. You're getting other things, but the other things are considered byproducts. I don't know how he does his pricing structure for it. I wonder if it's just you can get X amount of this in a time frame and it just a simple multiply. I don't know. I don't know if he's doing anything particularly fancy with it. Time to visit all the vendors to get alchemy recipes. This is going to take forever. It won't take too long. Right, we actually ended up with 8 purple Bijous, apparently. We must have got another one at some point through the dungeon I didn't spot. But now we should be able to buy our Bloodvine boots. Oh, we're missing the Zandalari bargaining tote. Can I use my... I can't use my pigeon in here, can I? Can I use a pigeon in here? Is it going to let me use the pigeon? Oh, it does. Okay, good. Collected, not collected. Bloodvine boots, there we go. Okay, that means there is not anything else I need on this character that's going to give me anything. I need the rogue ensemble, the priest, the shaman, the warlock, and the druid. Oh, and the warrior. And then a handful of actual recipes. We need to trundle over here on our shaman. Okay. Wild vine potion. Where was that recipe I got? Animist's foot wraps. Let's get that sold as well. Okay. Yeah, I think in fairness, if I did set something like that up, groups based upon price and then try and filter in most of the materials for it. Obviously, the problem more so than anything else is it requires a lot of research. It means that for every single material, you need to then have a good idea of just how much of it you can get in a given time frame. You'd probably use an hour as a time frame. And it might get a little bit tricky on stuff to where that number's not very reliable. Like the more rarer material, like Blood of the Mountain, for example, is one that springs to mind. Something that's a material that is often sought after, but is a bit more difficult. Yeah, I don't know. It was a random thought I had. I don't know how much weight it's got, but. Okay, we got to get ourselves... We need the yellow ones for... What do we need the yellow ones for? We needed the yellow ones for the blood-drenched leather ensemble. Okay. Right, let's get Druid over there. Let's... Orgrimmar, Undercity. What's the plan here? To get objective data, which is the kind of thing I think Dallo has tried to do, you do a particular farm for like 5 hours, track your average items gained per run, then average that out. But like others have said, it's never just one item. That's the complication. You get lots of byproducts. Yeah, this is why putting a numerical value to this sort of stuff is often a bit tricky. Because, sure, you might get some of these materials, but at the same time, if you get a bunch of other stuff... I mean, I'm a big fan of, like, not doing anything unless I'm, like, wombo comboing it, right? Like, I want to make sure that I'm always getting, like, two things out of doing a thing, if that makes sense. I know this is kind of why generally over the years people have just simplified farms down to, if you do this thing for an hour, you know, if and were to sell everything, you get this amount of gold. I mean, I get that that's the when you break it down, that's the simplistic way of doing it. But what that often tends to lead is just vast amounts of just dumb level info that isn't actually true. That's what frustrates me more than anything else. Is that then, you know, a day, 3 days, 5 days, every day that goes past, that data is less and less accurate. It's literally a snapshot. Like, you know, at this time on this day, doing this farm was worth this amount. And it becomes very hard to then, you know, oh, that's great, but tomorrow it's different. Or the argument has always been, oh, well, then on my realm it's different. There's oh, I need to do this heroic, of course. Oh my god, did I even loot the things? Oh, I know what I didn't do. I didn't pick up my the things I can't remember the name of again. I'll send them to myself in a second. See how many I need. So I need, do I need this? Druid set uses those 6, so I need 4 Zandalari bargaining tokens. And then 6, so I need 10. Where's my pigeon gone? It's usually on my toolbar, but it's not. Let's put you down there. So that's the druid one, right? And then this is the general leather one. Bingo. Bish bash bosh. That means they can go to the rogue now that I don't have. If you only considered commodities, you just pull the data from TSM and show the trend for the bucket of goods that you get on average from a particular farm. If you integrated worth it data with TSM. Last week it sells for this week it sells for that. Yeah, there's that's kind of the thing that's always frustrated me with just boiling everything down to a gold number. Because also, if you're going to get really smart about things, you got to remember that the value of gold changes aggressively. Look at Team NA. We were talking about this earlier, Wu. I don't know if you'd spotted this. The NA token is nearly exactly the same as the EU token now. The NA token is as high as it's ever been, and earlier today it was only 11,000 gold behind the EU token. And so you could argue very quickly that gold has a much different value on Team NA servers than it does or has done just recently. You know, $20 used to only get you 150, 180,000 gold. Now $20 gets you 300 plus, 350 plus. But God knows how you integrate all of that into TSM. That's probably taking it to a level that's even surpassed my desires. back to the real world. First break in a few months, totally out of date with stuff. But yeah, thinking in terms of token price per hour instead of gold per hour is a more real metric in many ways. Especially considering that's genuinely what most people are actually more interested in. Like, it's like you've gone most of the way there and then stopped one step. You know, you've got off the bus one stop before your destination. It seems odd. You know, it should be percentage of a token per hour. If you can get, you know, 1/10 of a token per hour, you know, 1/20th of a token per hour, and then you ultimately want to price the things that you are acquiring based upon that token value. So as the token goes, you know, as the token steadily rises, you can price your stuff relative to that. That's always made a lot more sense to me. I've even asked the TSM guys if there's any way to like reference the token value. Can we make the token value like a price source that we can reference? I think you could do some really clever stuff with that. You know, if you start farming transmog, start listing transmog based upon, you know, a percentage of the token price at any given time. But, you know, like I said, I'm probably seriously overthinking all of this. Are you guys so lazy and not doing enough Dragon Riding World quests? Yeah. I try to find many creative ways to not have to do that sort of stuff. Classic retail tokens are shared. That's the theory. But I equally don't think that the... I don't think the token is quite what we... I think Blizzard have got more knobs behind the scenes to twist with a token than we really actually realise. I tend to feel that has far more of an... like, Blizzard have the ability to tweak the value of the token far more. I mean, if it was purely 100% a matchmaking system, to which somebody spends $20 and they get given a token. That token is then put on the auction house and is then sold to another person. If it's purely a one-to-one matchmaking service and Blizzard just take their cut, I think we would see far more frequently either like far greater variations in the price of the token. And I would also suspect at some point you'd probably see the scenario where there just aren't tokens to be bought. But that never happens unless something ridiculous has gone on. Which makes me think that Blizzard have got a little bit more control over what goes on behind the scenes. They're never going to make it so that you can't buy a token with $, and they're not going to make it. They're never going to make it so that you can't trade in your gold for game time either. So there's something else going on behind the scenes. We just don't really know what it is. I wonder how big the lever Blizz can use to have the token price at a number that benefits them the most. Do they inflate it based on how much gold is used over the region? And see, this is the interesting stuff we don't know. We know so little about what Blizzard actually tracks and what they're able to sort of influence. And I think since the dawn of the token, their technology for how they use it is probably progressed more and more and more, especially considering I swear their percentage of revenue is slowly increasing from the token, and as subscription revenue is less of a percentage. I'm almost convinced the token plays a much bigger part in how Blizzard does things. And, you know, at periods in time to where they see that they can sell a lot of them, they're going to, you know, they're going to bring the value down so that they're not inputting as much. You know, I would absolutely love to assume that Blizzard are not creating any gold with the token, but the more time goes on, the less I'm convinced of it. And the reality is we just will never find out, because we'll never find out. Tokens have run out several times, and there's a max value that the price can change. Yeah, there's also right in the early days, we did get some very limited information about this. There was we were told in the early days that there was like no more than like a 5% swing in price or something that could happen. And that there was some things in place to prevent like massive spikes and changes on it. But I'm pretty convinced that their technology for how they utilize the token over the years has changed a lot. Oh, of course, yeah, these dudes are still Alliance. That's the wrong side. Hang on, if these dudes are still Alliance, then we can just go straight to Stormwind and fly. That's an easier solution. How many tokens are posted on the auction house currently? I don't think we get that information. You can go to the auction house and you can buy a token. It doesn't tell you how many there are. Just like you can always buy a token here. All it does is tell you the current value of it. It doesn't tell you how many there already are. Oh god, I fat fingered it again. Okay, we're going to need more stuff than this, but that'll do us for now. My dude's Hearthstone is set to the heart of the forest still. That needs to not be the case. Right, I'll take a flight point for this. It's going to be easier. Oh lord, is this alchemy even 300 in classic? It should be. Yeah, there we go. Where's the flight master gone? There you are. Just got 2k gold from a single world quest. Yeah, some of the world quests are a bit silly now. Hearthstone in bags in 2023. I think this dude's got space. I think it's fine. I think it's fine. Yeah, especially with the Dream Surge bonus to... I think it doubles the amount of gold you get from world quests with one of the bonuses. Obviously, it's not going to be up all the time, but it's quite clever. If you time it right, you can make some silly gold off your world quests. Right, I'm going to take a quick break for 2 minutes, boys and girls. In fact, we've already been live for 3 hours. Wow, okay. I'll be back in 2 minutes. Hey, that was good timing, wasn't it? That was nearly perfect timing. Right, so what did we say we needed? The shaman appearances, and then by the looks of things, four old school recipes for alchemy. Oh, actually, thinking about that, our shaman should probably run through and get there's the one from the alchemy bot. Wow, look how much shit I don't know for alchemy on this character. Ouch, that's embarrassing. This thing, the Gurubashi Mojo Madness. We can get this from the tablet at the back there. We're going to need this for the... I suppose we don't technically need this, but it's a recipe, so I'd want it anyway. Vanilla transmutes are annoying to get. I can't even remember how you get them. Oh, are they on the cooldown? They're discovery cooldown, aren't they? Or have I made that up? You can buy that one. Buy that one. Tonight. Oh, no, you just buy half of them. World drop. Earth to life. World drop. Means it'll be on the auction house. Oh, it's just a lot of rep, isn't it? Yeah. A lot of world drop stuff. I don't mind world drop stuff. You just buy it. World drops and rep stuff, though, yeah. That's frustrating for me on this toon, because this toon has not done any rep for anybody ever. Not done a bean. Right, we might have a run through here all the same, just since we can get the pattern from later on in here. Outland has some of the worst recipe drops, because not only are they world drop, they're also rare. And that means they hold good value on the auction house all the time. Because they're just goddamn annoying to get. Does this shaman have anything other than flame shock as a single target? As not, well, as an insta-cast? I know chain lightning cleans up pretty well though. It's just the cast time on it that's annoying. Frost shock. Oh yeah. Instant 40-yard range. Well, today I learn. Do I not have it? Why is it grayed out? I don't play a shaman ever. I don't play anything but a hunter ever. Frost shock all the way up here. Now we do. Instant cast 40-yard range. Alright, cool. I like. Even when I did play my shaman, and this is many years ago, by the way, I think I pretty much only played resto. The only time I've really ever played a healer in this game at all. Resto Shaman. Chain lightning is just cool though, isn't it? There's no denying. Easily one of the coolest abilities in the game. Hey, another orange one. I think we need some orange ones. I'm pretty sure we need orange ones. Purples is what we're really after, though. And obviously a mount. Incoming mounts. What? Huh. Okay. Never lucky. Never lucky. Lightning hit the block of flats next to our place last night. Scared the absolute shit out of me. I got nearly hit by lightning once. It's not fun. It's really not fun. Lightning is incredibly loud. You don't realise how loud lightning is. You think, oh, it's light. When it strikes near you, shit the bed. I was about 20 foot away from a lightning strike when I was about 17. I was not happy. I was I was 17. I think I was riding home from like 6th form, and it started raining and thundering, and I was just about to put my key in the door. Just about to put my key in the door, and next door's house, their chimney got struck. So I was probably 20 foot away. And fuck me, it's loud. Not a pleasant experience. Not something I would want to happen again. Do I need to touch this tablet before or after? Alchemist with 300 skill can interact with the tablet for the recipe. Learn the recipe. Boom! Okay. We're not going to use these just yet because I'm still farming up bijous for other one-time purchasey things, but then spares can start being shuffled. Where's the one that's going to... Oh! No, this thing does have all the things. Why can I not... Where's... there it is. 1. 2. 3. Oh no, I've missed one. I've missed one. Where's the one I've missed? I'll go back to the beginning now. I missed one in this corner, I swear. What? Is there something really stupid? Where's the last one? Who's yoinked the last one? Oh dear God, what's going on here? Is it this one? No. Control tablet behind you. Oh! How the hell did you guys know that? How did you guys... Thanks. Appreciate. Alt-Z to hide the UI, highlight secret items and more. Handy to know. Welcome, Interesting Rose. Let's go pew pew some crocodiles. I love how I start my streams with best intentions of doing something and then end up doing something completely different. Often I look at my stream title after I've finished my stream and I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. What is it? I suppose collecting all the things is relatively close to the truth right now. I'm focusing on recipes predominantly, but I am collecting at least. So it's not a complete lie. I certainly had no intentions of running through this dungeon 3 or 4 times today, but I've ended up doing it anyway. It's how I game every day and tend to do something, ooh, look, a squirrel. Yeah. It's too easy in this game. It's too easy. But the simple truth of it is, as long as you're having fun, it really doesn't matter. And there's something fun about casting chain lightning and seeing people just fall over. Even if it's totally pointless me doing it because I don't need any of the coins. I need to figure out how to get specifically 7 purple Bijous. I can't believe because I've not spent any doing these tributes at all. So I don't understand how I'm so far behind with the purple ones, or whether there's just a disproportionate amount of purple ones you need to get everything. That could be a possibility. For example, I've got like 34 silver ones. In fact, we're not going to have 34 silver ones for very long. We need 27 of them to buy the things we need. I'll just aggro these and pull them up to the top. Alright, grab you lot, do a sneaky in here, and then blast away. Nada, nothing. There's got to be a talent that makes... Well, there's got to be a way to make Chain Lightning instant cast, right? Got to be a way. Swift. We haven't had the Panther from that. There's 2 mounts I still need in this dungeon. Sheesh. Adjusty, how we doing? Welcome in. One day we'll get these mounts. I suppose that gives me a good reason to continue farming this for the Bijous. At least if there's some... See, like I said, wombo combo again, right? As long as there's something else I can hunt for, I'd be still continuously willing to run the dungeons. Had the pink rocket before these mounts. Whoa, yeah. Me too. But, truth be told, I put a lot more effort into getting the pink rocket. A lot more effort. Quite literally, hundreds of runs every year. And only got it, not last year, the year before. This year for me. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny that they increased the drop rate of it, yet it still didn't really increase the drop rate of it. They were like, oh yeah, on your first go every day, you'll have an increased drop rate. Oh. So I get 14 increased drop rate chances, and if I'm not lucky on those 14, then screw you. Wait till next year again. Which was basically put it in the same league as it already was. %, gold buff from the Dream Surges is nice, like 6k gold in 8 minutes. Yeah, you can absolutely blast that. If you are prepped and ready, some people are even going as far as just dropping off the alts, just like ready and waiting. Some people are also saying that one of them was actually bugged as well. It was like giving 3 times the amount or something, I think. But, you know, if it works, it works. For a little short burst blast to get you fixed for the day. In your case, cover the cost of a few glow spores, I imagine. Oh, I wonder if we're going to get any sizable value from the PTR this week. We really should do. Unless, of course, what we see is what we get with the PTR. We tend to. I'll be sad if it is, but I'm really starting to... well, what we tend to find often happens, and I've seen this a few times now, is that... I'm talking about the Dracothis situation here, is that Dracothists will be, you know, showcased as needed in the recipe, like now, and they'll change it like the very last week of the PTR. Just as long as it takes for people to, you know, decide that, okay, Dracothists are still going to be a thing, then they'll pull the rug out from underneath you, and they'll switch it to something else. Or they'll just leave it completely as it is. And those who have got a good system in place right now can continue utilizing the good system they've got. I'm risk adverse. Makes sense. Buying and selling on the same day. Probably get lesser profit, but there's also slightly less risk involved. So if it works, it works. If it's not broken, don't fix it. Huh, I'd never done some grub on this character. Any news on the removed Greater Charms of Good Fortune? They removed them from the vendor in Pandaria. No clue. I barely... Absolutely no clue. I, for reference, don't really have much of a link directly to Blizzard. Zan, for example, actually has way more of a link to Blizzard than I do. I only know what I get told, if that makes sense. So for these weird and wacky things, if I've heard about it, I can tell you about it, but I certainly don't hear about anything, nor do I have access to any sort of official portal. Right, let's grab some recipes then. There's a bunch of stuff we can get from here by the looks of things. Oh, what we are going to need though is we are going to need the Zandalari bargaining tokens, that's for sure. Why don't we send those over first? I think I'm still holding some mats that I invested in before 10.1 went live. No more investment for me. It's I'm in no, let's put it this way, I'm in no rush to do much of any of that. What's this character called? Rocket Chick. My plan and my tactic for 10-2 is very simple. This might be a character you don't know. Oh, yeah, that is the wrong character. That character's not on Sylvanas anymore. Oh, dear. Flipping hell. Yeah, my plan for 10-2 is very simple. I'm going to snipe and buy the new recipes on day one for whatever they cost, and I'm going to craft them and I'm going to sell them. And then when the profit disappears, I will stop. That's my plan. Nothing particularly clever about it. Where's me pigeon gone? Come in very handy today, this pigeon, I tell you. Right. Greater Dreamless Sleep Potion. One of those, please. A Mighty Troll's Blood Elixir Potion. One of you. Mage Blood Elixir. Living Action Potion. There's 4. What else do we need? Shaman appearance set. Doodahs. One of those. No, that's the male one, so we've got all of that. Okay, that should be everything. I missed the good old Ghost Iron flip. That was a nice one. I imagine it probably still works occasionally. February bought 3,000 Awakened Order for 460 gold each. Then the price went down for a few months, but then one day it was 700 gold, and I spent 2 hours selling. Ended up making so much gold. This is the only time I've done a successful flip, but it also took months. Yeah, sometimes you do just have to wait. There's and it is very, very, very much about the early bird catching the worm. So much so that even now, I think you'll probably find that the prices will only because of the region-wide auction house, the prices are not going to double, triple, or do anything silly like that. Prices might rise by like 10-20%. So what you really need to be doing is buying before that happens. But it's the payoff is so. The payoff is so on materials. The payoff is so minute now. You might if you spend 1 million gold, you might sell it all for 1.2, but you've risked 1 million gold doing it, and it's like because it could go the other way, and you could end up with like 500k, or then you just be sat holding the bag. I've never particularly liked it. And I don't particularly do too much of it. This is why I tended to lean far more on crafting generally.
I have just the thing for you.
Why was I even selling these at 40 gold a piece? I mean, fair play, you can have them. I don't know why I crafted them though. What did we sell? Spirit Keeper's Helm, 1600 gold. Random ass Mr. Pandaria something or other. Hang on, isn't the Spirit Keeper's Helm? Yeah, this uses. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I remember what that one is. The Magnificent Hides and the Haunted Spirits. Yeah, that's not the expensive one to make. That's fine. I thought I got shafted then. A Polar Tunic for 3k, doubled on money. Delicate Inferno rubies. Why are we selling these for 400 gold a piece? Oh, we sold 2 of them for 477. Sure. Sell some random trash now. Warhide Belt of the Aurora. Okay, we need to send these. We need to send a few things back. Them. Okay. And this dude is done. Time Walking Gems. Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Dark leather pants, warhide bindings of the Fire Flash. Somebody's out buying some leather transmog, or they're leveling up a leatherworking character, but they're buying some very random stuff. Probably buying cheap transmog. Last one I need to do is my warrior, but I'm hungry. Boys and girls, I'm going to leave that there for today. Tomorrow we are going to see Eastern Kingdoms Cup. So we get to have a little bit of a play with some dragon riding again, get our zooms on. I enjoy the zooms. I'm assuming there's probably not too much more to get from the Eastern Kingdoms Cup that you couldn't already have got from the Kalimdor Cup. But hopefully they add some reason to it. I'm kind of hoping they do, even if it's only small, because we did pick up all of the everything we needed with the last event they did. But the races are cool, so the race we'll be doing some dragon racing tomorrow. It's obviously also reset day tomorrow, so we'll see what else comes our way if we choose to chip away at a few bits and pieces here or there. But we are World of Warcraft, we are collecting right now. We are predominantly killing time until something new happens. We've got the time walking dungeons to do again. We're going to need to do, was it 4, 5 time walking dungeons? I can't quite remember. We hopefully will get a PTR update and be able to spend a bit of time on the PTR at some point as well. So we can, we'll keep ourselves busy for sure. Obviously, if some gold making opportunity comes across at the same time, this is ultimately the reason I collect stuff. I collect things so then I have more things I can potentially craft, but I only craft them as and when the time is right. So, but anyway, thank you all for joining today. A couple of things to point out from. Some of you may have noticed that the VODs are now subscriber only. That is by choice, by the way. It's not a mistake. It's mostly because I'm trying to push people to the YouTube channel where I'm uploading all the VODs, for the reason that the VODs there are permanent. They stay there. It does just mean that obviously it takes an hour or two from the end of the stream before the VODs actually appear on there, and sometimes they're in 360p before they go to 1080p. There's a little bit of a delay there with processing YouTube side. Sometimes it takes a bit longer than others, but Twitch deletes all the VODs after like 14 days, 30 days, and it's annoyed me for a long time, so I'm putting more effort to pushing everything to the VOD channel. So Streamlabs has just given you the link to the YouTube VOD channel, and if I get my ass into gear at some point, I might use that channel to just chop up some like highlights of the stream in short form content as well. Pretty low effort, I know, but it builds presence on YouTube. But boys and girls, I'm off. I'm going to go get me some food. Have yourselves a wonderful day. If you're on Team NA, good luck with Reset later, and for all of my Team EU boys and girls, I'll see you in the morning. Have a good one. Peace.